For our children's message today, we're going to talk about the beauty and the diversity of God's creation. So I have some pictures here that I hope you can see on the video. Here we have a whole diversity of birds, and we see flying birds and walking birds and birds like ostriches that stick their head in the sand, and also there's cold weather birds like penguins that are not pictured here. And when we think of birds, we include all of this great diversity that make up what we call birds. And we also love the whole diversity in the animal kingdom, and whether they're from the ocean or in the African savanna or in Asia eating bamboo, we just love the diversity of all the animals. And it doesn't matter what kind of species it is, we think all of these wonderful animals that God has made. We also love to celebrate the diversity of humankind. And sometimes it's harder for us to accept the diversity of humankind in all the colors and cultures and ways and sexualities that people show up. Sometimes it's easier for us to accept diversity in the natural world, and it's harder for us to accept the diversity of the human world. In our second reading from Acts today, Paul talks about how God created the diversity of the whole creation. He talked about, he's talking to the people in Athens, and they have an altar to an unknown God. And he tells them, I will tell you that this God has made himself known. And he is the God who has given breath to all living things. And he is also the God who made himself known in human flesh. And that man was Jesus, and he lived and walked in human flesh, and he died and he rose again. And so at this time, when we hear this text from Paul, we affirm the importance of all human flesh in whatever form the body comes in. So some of us are from an Asian culture, some from an African American culture, from an Arab culture, some from a Latino culture, some from a European culture, all created by God, all endowed with gifts and all beautiful. Why am I bringing this up today? Well, today, May 17th, is the anniversary of the Supreme Court decision of Brown versus Board of Education, which is an important part of our history when the Supreme Court ruled that separate education is not equal education, and that we needed to bring African Americans and white students and our whole culture and people together and to see everybody as created in the eyes of God, as an important part of the diversity of God's creation, and as somebody whom God created and whom Jesus Christ embodied and affirmed, that all of us bear the image of God and reflect the image of God. So in this time when it's easy to be divisive and to divide into camps over what we think about whether to wear a mask or when to get back into meeting together or worshiping together or going out together, what we want to focus on is that we are all God's beautiful children, and that we are called to work together and to come together and to be together and to listen and to love as God's people created in the image of God as followers of Jesus Christ.